Hello, my beautiful people, and welcome to yet another episode of the Uplevel Together podcast. My gosh, I am so incredibly happy to introduce one of my favorite people on planet Earth, a dear friend of mine, Joey Korn, who is a spiritual teacher of mine, a friend, a published successful author, a spiritual counsel to many, a dowser, single-handedly changed the dowsing industry, I believe, and so many other things. But today we are going to share about probably one of the most impactful things for you and the humanity that I have seen in a very long time. And that's what we want to talk about today. Joey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. We've been planning this for a long time. It's been over 2 years now. We're finally doing it.
And here we are. And how many conversations have we had? And how many times have you saved me from the energetic virus that we're going to be talking about today on the show, aren't we?
Yeah. You're not sleeping is a signal. When you can't sleep, you suspect it, and then. But I'm glad I could help you. That's what started this whole thing.
That's it. Well, that's just it. So to introduce the folks, I was my teacher, Steve, that I was working with, had a book of yours, The Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, which I have, which I highly recommend to everyone who is interested in how the energies of the world, our own thoughts affect us, and the history of how the dowsing has changed with you, how you have changed dowsing. And I'm going to link that in the show notes. And as I was reading the book, this was the time for about a year where I was just really not sleeping. For an entire year, my husband and I both would wake up in the middle of the night, look at each other multiple times a night, and just groan because we were frustrated because we were not sleeping. And I remember you talking about an inability to sleep or get through the night peacefully, that's a sign of that you have caught a level of incoherence or this, energetic virus, which we're going to talk about in your own words. And I called you. And I remember after that, I didn't tell anything to my husband, but that one time you helped me clear that. And 2 days later, I believe, it wasn't the first night, 2 days later, my husband and I slept through the night and then the following week through the night that we haven't in a year. And he looked at me, he's like, we're sleeping better. I'm like, yes, we are. And then I told him what I did. But I've had you do that for so many of my friends. It's just been really, really, really miraculous. And I really cannot thank you enough. But we're going to talk a little bit more about what, the spiritual clearing work that you do with clients. But before we even get started, Joey, you have been working with energy and you've been working with dowsing for decades. You're probably one of the most prominent dowsers that I know that's changed the way of dowsing. Can you explain what you actually do in a way that someone new to dowsing and energy can understand? That's what I would love to start with.
Sure. Well, dowsing, people think, what's dowsing? Or some people call it divining. And often what people think of, if they know of it, is the old timer holding a forked stick from a branch from a tree. And I'm an old timer now. Finding a place to drill a water well. Mm-hmm. And what other dowsers don't realize too, I think a lot of them don't, they're not finding the physical water. It's all energy. So even when they're dowsing for water or for a lost object or some dowsers do, they're dowsing, it's all about energy. And so our lives are filled with energy. We are filled with energy, and our energy expands out into the home that we live in, and our family's energy, and all of us come together in the energies of the home. And there are many what dowsers call earth energies, and the ones who do space clearing like I do, personal energy clearing and space clearing, they see these earth energies that are related to underground water and other earth energies. They see them as causing energy problems for people. They feel that these energies serve a function in nature, but they're harmful to us. And I work with that, and they do things to block, divert, or neutralize the energies. And but I've come to understand the earth energies are here to support us, and almost all other spiritual teachings say that. The earth energies are here to support us, not harm us. If they're detrimental, if they douse as detrimental, and you can get in them and muscle test somebody, and if they muscle test weak in the energies, that's a symptom, not a cause. Something is causing it. And it's really all about us. We create our energy environments by living in them, living in our energy in our environment. And so we are energy beings. We change the frequency we vibrate with every thought, every emotion, every action. And the things that make more lasting changes are the negative way are intense anger, fear, and so anyway, I've come to understand that our energy environments are really us. They're not separate earth energies. The earth energy are here to support us. If there's a problem in the earth energies, the problem is really within us.
So it's a reflection on us.
Energy that we attract, that I call interference energy, which we'll be getting to, I'm sure.
Yes. Well, that's what you taught me, and why I value so much. The people will often talk about when we talk about dowsing and approach it from a scientific perspective, and yet it can be measured. Like these energies, we now have the tools to measure the energies that are emanating from the earth, the energies that are emanating from us. I think it's about time that we stop talking about it as like, oh, energy and woo and the unseen, but actually it's affecting us in ways that we can even possibly imagine. And when you taught me about how we change the energies and make them detrimental and destructive through the negativity of our thoughts and emotions, it really made me think more profoundly about, the way I show up in the world. And also telling everyone, we've all walked into a room and felt like, there's something off here. Like, even if you don't understand dowsing, right? And that's precisely what you're talking about. We can feel those energies.
That's it.
Well, Joey, you have worked with thousands of people. And you and I have had many of these conversations. What patterns are you seeing today in 2025, especially in terms of stress, anxiety, energetic overwhelm, that you have not seen before?
Well, it's off the charts. I think we'd be better off to go back to what I mentioned, interference energy, okay? Because that's how I see it change. I discovered this interference energy as the cause of almost all energy problems within people's beings and in their homes back in 2007. And that's when I came to the realization that the energy problems aren't causing problems for us. We are causing the energy problems, and that interference energy, we attract it, and there's two ways to attract it. I sort of jumping ahead, I think, but I think to answer
that's
this,
okay.
Much need to do that.
This is your show, Joey.
Again, that's what made me realize the earth is not. And I dowse with a pair of dowsing rods, and most of these energy fields run in lines, in horizontal lines, and they make patterns and repeating patterns that I've come to understand. And when I discovered interference energy in 2007, and I started working with people extensively. All of a sudden, every client I call had interference or was being affected by interference energy. What happened? There's two ways. I've learned two ways to attract it. One is by entering intense negative thoughts of mind and emotion, usually in response to traumatic or very difficult events in our lives. Death of a loved one, divorce, financial catastrophe, that kind of thing. And then from 2007 till 2020, we'll get at those repeating patterns, what the patterns lately. 2020, I had discovered interference energy. I figured out quickly a way to remove it from people and their homes and their families. And it made such a difference in their lives that it really helped my business grow. But from that, in those early days, most of the time, those 14 years, most of the time, or 13 at that point, most of the time, it wasn't my client on the phone with me or a member of their immediate family that had attracted interference energy. It was usually a member of the extended family or friends who had stayed there. And we actually we have an energy pattern, and we imprint it wherever we lie down on a physical surface, even for a second. You lie down on a bed, a couch, a massage table for 1 second, you leave an imprint of your energy pattern.
So let me just clarify two things. So one, just for our audience, because there's a lot of new, really fantastic new terms. Number one, we all have an energetic pattern. Every single one of it is kind of like our energetic signature that we carry, and that changes day to day based on our emotional states. And number two, the interference energy is energy that's caused with negative, really these heavy emotions, and then it just kind of stays and wreaks havoc in our life. Is that correct?
What it is our emotion, our intense negative emotions attract it, and it sort of connects to us. And then it causes all our entire human energy pattern, which is it's like a matrix of energies. And it causes the entire thing to be out of balance, or what you might call it discordant. And then it causes all the energies of the home to be detrimental. All those earth energies I was talking about, they're crisscrossing all everywhere, but especially in our homes. Mm-hmm. And it affects all the other people in the home. The second way to it, and then so what I would do is I would talk to my clients, and we would identify. I have a way to identify who it is. Working with them, and let's say it was a brother who had come to visit. And when I talk about, well, what's going on with the brother, they're the ones that have attracted interference. He's the one that's attracted interference energy. Oh, he's been through a tough time. He's going through a divorce. He's having big financial problems. So I started getting a feel through the years of what kind of things bring it in. But I also learned in that time that when one person attracts it in a family or gets imprinted in a family from outside the home, it affects everybody negatively, and others can actually catch it like a virus. I do consider this to be an energetic virus. So this is the point, getting to answer your question. I sort of take the long answer here, long way there. From 2007 to 2020, by the beginning of COVID, again, most of the time it was a member from, it wasn't the family, my client that had interference energy or the immediate family members most of the time. In 2000, well into 2020, after COVID started, it seemed that every single client that called on me, and they were calling on me more and more, every single client had interference energy connected to them directly. Well, I guess I'll explain after in a little bit how I do these sessions. But the client had interference energy, and some or all of the members of the family started having interference energy. This did not happen before COVID. And I don't think it's COVID itself. I think, what happened during COVID era? We were forced to close. We would take our kids out of school, close our businesses, stay at home, restaurant. We couldn't go out to eat. We couldn't travel. We couldn't do anything. We were cooped up with our families. And then you can imagine, let's say let's say the main breadwinner, if there is a main breadwinner, is thinking, oh, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my business. am I going to lose my family? Am I going to lose my own life? So that fear, theoretically, let's say, again, the person with the most concern about it because he or she is supporting the family, with that fear, everything all of a sudden gets much worse. So then again, it affects everybody in the home, and then the other people can catch it like a virus.
So how do we catch it? This is really what you're saying right now is what I'm seeing and hearing from my own clients, friends, family. Something happened very intensely, and I think it's this global I don't even know, like culmination of all of our fears coming together. And I think it's palpable for all of us. And now it's spreading and we all feel it. So, but how can one catch it from others? Is it just through laying down somewhere and we leave our energetic pattern?
Yeah. Okay. Think about it. If everywhere you lie down, you leave an imprint of your pattern. Okay. And imagine, just for example, and the pattern, it's hard to discuss. When you lie down, you leave an imprint of your pattern. So think about it. How many people are lying down in beds in hotels? Mm-hmm. How many people are go for massages or other kind of treatments where they lie on a table, doctor's examination table? And it's not, your imprint doesn't last forever. I can remove it on purpose. I can teach you to remove it on purpose simply with blessing work. And, so I don't find hundreds or thousands of people energetically connected in a bedroom, in a hotel room, but I do find now it's so abundant in the world now that you can't hardly go and stay in a hotel room without interference energy being imprinted around several people's energy patterns around that bed. Then when you lie down, it affects you. And that's why I have an article experiencing travel-related sleep issues with a question mark. And it's all
we're going to link that, by the way, in the show notes, because it's really important. A lot of people do travel, and then when they come back home, they realize that something is off. And I really want to stress that this is really important. There's a lot of new concepts. People are like, oh my God, I'm feeling kind of crazy, but it could be it's the interference energy that you have picked up from someone else, this intense energy that just what you can't get rid of it. I'm curious, Joey, from you, how can we tell if something that I'm feeling like really strong anger, it's mine, or if it's interference energy? So going back to those audience listening right now, we've talked about sleep. We've talked about just like disturbance in our own mental state. What are the telltale signs that you probably have picked up interference energy?
Well, if you're anxious and you don't know why is a good thing. It's a good trigger. I mean, a good indicator. If you used to sleep good, but all of a sudden you don't, that's another trigger. If you're having constant bad dreams, or not constant, if you're often having bad dreams, especially to the point of nightmares, that's something. That's an indication. But this also can cause paranormal activity. And a lot of people don't believe in that kind of thing, but it happens to more people than you can imagine. And the reason people don't hear about it so much is everybody's afraid to tell them. Everybody that's having it is afraid to tell people. And so this interference energy, what it does, it exacerbates all negativity, and so it makes. It's not that it's somebody else's anger. It's your own anger, but it's being exacerbated. But then you can also, what I found was people would have, after I removed the interference energy from them and from their homes remotely, or on site, but mostly remotely, then they just have significant lasting changes, and not permanent, because this energy, you can always pick it back up. We're people, we're human beings, and we want to go do play. So now it's not so much for the most part, that's the point I want to make. You ask about how patterns have changed. It's not so much anymore that we're attracting it directly. Now, people who are very ill, people who have mental and emotional disorders, people who go into rages, uncontrolled rages for something that's not, those, it's obvious that those probably attracted it directly. But now the most common thing is just to go somewhere, stay somewhere other than home, or lie down anywhere else other than home. You might say we pick up a part of this energy, but it hadn't really attached to us yet. And then it can attach to us. We can actually attract it and catch it like a virus. And so again, it's so abundant now. That's the thing to concern about. That's what you want to. Another thing we'll be sharing and I want to tell about how that developed too. That you can just do it on your own. You don't need it. And then you look at the changes in yourself and in your family. And
that's why I'm so incredibly excited to have this conversation. Is that initially I would come to you and say, Joey, I don't know what's going on, but something is off very often after travel, because I travel quite a bit. And then you were like, yep, you got it again. And I can tell. And I can also tell when you clear it. And sometimes when I'm like, nope, Joey, something else, and we'll find, and there was a clearing. But you've taught me how to use the miracle blessing and on my own, that I can do that for myself. And I've shared it with a lot of my friends. Before we get into the miracle blessing, I really want you to talk about it, because to me, that is a tool right now that can change the lives of millions of people in this country. And it's so easy and it's so simple. But I want to stress this. A lot of people in the audience are, they love science, which is why they love following me. They love, using the data that I share. And sometimes it's very easy to discount something like dowsing or energies or emotions. And I want to say this, like in my own research and the work that the HeartMath Institute has done for the last 25 years, the research is so conclusive. We can measure the energy that we emanate, whether it's positive energy or negative energy. We can actually track how it affects other people. It's almost like this energetic donuts that we carry around us every single day. We bump into each other's energies every single day. So I want everyone on the podcast to really have an open mind and listen to what Joey is saying and test this for yourself. And when you do test it, you will see that it is actually real and it will completely transform your life. I think it's a simple tool that he's created, that has been given to him. And he'll talk about that. I think that you're giving it away, Joey, to people because you care about humanity and saving this world from this pollution of anger and hatred and anxiety and depression. And I want to thank you for that. And now I would love for you to talk about the miracle blessing. And would you tell us what it is and walk us through it?
Well, we're going back to the work I do. And you said it was given to us, and it was meant to be that you had a session with me when you did, and it was meant to be that you took a week or two, whatever it was, to call me back. But for 14 years, before you called me back, you were probably one, if not the last person that I worked with, that I did it myself for the people. I went for 14 years. I figured out how to remove this energy from people actually through the energy in the home. I would remove it from the home, which would indirectly remove it from the people.
And you call that, and that's how people can work with you. You call this spiritual home clearing.
Spiritual, yeah. remote session, house clearing, space clearing,
Okay.
personal energy clearing, and space clearing. But
Okay.
anyway, for 14 years, I helped so many people, but I couldn't teach it. We had held over 40 retreats in our home where everybody learned to find all these grids that I've been talking about, these earth energies with the rods. And this is what I use, a dowsing rod, two of them. And they're either, this is my search position, pointed straight ahead. And then this is when I get a reaction to what I'm looking for. And some things make my rods cross, and some things don't make them open. And I don't do any of the energy work with the rods, except I'm using them. I do all the energy work with blessing. Okay, so for 14 years, we held over 40 retreats in our home, 5 days and nights. My students learned everything about finding all these energies, but finding this energy that I call interference energy is sort of elusive. And the method I used at the time, and even the one now, you have to physically have a part of your body knowingly in a part of this energy, or a part of the energy that's caused by the interference energy, the energy problems, that then you say a particular blessing, which is basically what I do is I turn it over to the divine. And I would say, basically, dear God, do whatever is appropriate with this energy that I call interference energy to bring healing and balance to the complete beings of all who are affected by the energy. Thank you. Amen. Okay. It's more than that. But so then you had your session with me, and in the time and that whatever week or so it took from you to I think you were the last person that I did it the old way, because I finally figured out a way anybody can clear interference energy and other energy problems on their own, simply by lying down anywhere, but especially in bed, and going through the miracle blessing process, and which is very simple. And I've got many blessings, and they can. And
Well,
yeah.
I want to share that in my book. I talk about, you teaching me how to bless the food for my children every morning. And
Yeah.
Dean Radin from the Noetic Sciences and people all over the world have studied how blessing food changes its composition and the energetic composition of the food. I think all people who are faith-based, they know there's a reason for prayer before blessing the food. But it's like every morning as I'm mixing the oatmeal, dear God, please charge this oatmeal and bless it with energies so it may bring healing to my children's complete being, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I said every single morning.
That's another blessing. All my blessings have what I call the simple blessing process at the core. Now I think you're gonna put a link to my miracle blessing process, but anybody can find a series of blessings by just searching any search engine for Joey's blessing files, or just Joey's blessing. First link that'll come up will be Joey Korn's blessing process handouts. You click on that, and then you see the 6 or 7 different blessing processes there. Okay, but what I want to share, because the timing is like exquisite, I finally figured out how anybody can clear this. And I figured the same time I figured that out with a client on the phone. I tried it the first time with a client on the phone. It worked much better. Guiding the client through the blessing process, worked much better than the way I cleared. It's hard to explain this for 14 years. Much better. It cleared not only the family, but anywhere anybody in the family was imprinted or connected elsewhere where there was interference energy. It cleared those people too. And it just goes, when you do that, if you have interference energy, and I would say that nowadays a majority of the population of the planet has interference energy, or is it indirectly affected by it. And so I so well with this couple, this client, mother and daughter, and I saw the power in it, and I called Jill up. Calling, you're going to meet Jill. Everybody's going to meet Jill near the end. I called Jill to come upstairs. Her office was in the basement. So I called her upstairs. I said, I got to tell you this. I finally figured out a way anybody can do this. Anybody can remove interference energy, and it works much better than the way I've done it for 14 years. And I said, we can help a lot of people. We can help millions of people around the world if we can just get them to lie down and say the blessing and go through this blessing process. And then we both agreed. I said, we're going to give this away. And she said, yeah, we're going to give it away. And then you called and you were so excited. You said, Joey, I got to tell you, I've had such a dramatic change and you know, in the family, not just me, but the family, we're all sleeping so good, better than we have in a long time. And I said, well, wait a minute, Jasna, now I've got a way as of yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday. As of yesterday, I got a way anybody can do this, and it works much better than the way I do. Then you said, so then you said, well, I want to have you on my podcast. I want to help you get the word out.
I really do, because, and here's why it really, really works. B, you have dedicated your entire life, I believe. Like sometimes like we work our entire life and there's like a purpose, and you've always been of service to others. But sometimes we leave such a powerful legacy. And I'm just like, for me, this is something that we need to talk about. It is a blessing that humanity needs to know about, whether they believe it or not, because it can bless them and change their lives. And I tell everyone, just try it, because it makes such a difference.
Now, I have session with people sometimes, and a couple of times they say, well, what if I don't believe? And what if I don't believe, you know, what if I don't believe in prayer and blessing or even God or whatever? And I say, well, if you would just lie down and sincerely follow the directions and say this wonderful little blessing, and then just see how it changes you. So that's what I want to tell your followers, that don't just try to figure out, is this anger mine or somebody else's? You just lie down and do the blessing, and the instructions come, the maintenance instructions come with it to keep you from reattracting it, and the just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Well, that's really what's been really interesting. I've been at your home for a retreat that you and your lovely wife Jill host, and we're going to put a link to the retreats as well, because people should check them out. And we're going to meet Jill in a little bit. I think that I want to stress this. When I was in your home, like I did, it's like you are both of you both of you are religious people, and I would love for you to I would love for you to tell a little bit about your faith and why people who are scared of the words of energy, why this actually complements your faith, and why it's so important that we shouldn't, be scared of it.
Well, first of all, we're Jewish. My father was a Holocaust survivor out of Poland, spent 5.5 years in concentration camps and ghettos. It's amazing I'm even sitting here talking to you alive, after what he's been through. And he's passed now many years ago. I've actually published his story too. I got it published, Abe's story, a Holocaust memoir. But when you can bless something and immediately tell a difference, and I teach people to do this with a pair of L rods and with muscle testing, something's happening. And I've brought so many people back that gave up on religion because of the way they have been raised. And I said, well, don't worry. I said, don't consider this religion. This is crosses all, think of it as spirituality. and just ask whatever you consider their divine to bless you and charge you with energy in order to accomplish whatever you want. But this miracle blessing process is just further evidence. Much further evidence, because people's lives change when they do it. If there's disharmony in the family, they're amazed somehow. They're amazed at how almost right after it, sometimes not only are they feeling better and sleeping better, but the family's getting along so much better, and they feel a difference too, even if they don't know it happened, don't know that the client did anything, or whoever.
Yeah, I love that, and
when you feel changes, when you see changes and feel changes, and it causes you to believe more in whatever God is. I don't think we really know what God is.
Isn't that I love that, coming from a devout Jewish man, right? And I'm not Jewish, and but I believe in the divine and the connection. And what I love about it is that, whatever your divine is, connect to that, something that can help you. And I think that there's a beauty in, for me at least, in prayer. I write about it extensively in my book. There's an actual science behind prayer. It works, even in intercessory prayer, when we pray on behalf of someone else. But in talking to you and getting to know you, you and Jill, I consider you dear friends. I'm just so excited that you're in my life. You worked with engineers, you worked with CEOs, business people, you worked with people who are so all of the atheists, all of them, even the worst of skeptics. And what convinces them every time is that all of a sudden their life is better because of a simple prayer. So the miracle blessing, and we're going to share it again in the link to it, is just a simple process. I have it laminated. You lay down on your bed and you say a simple blessing. And, but you have to, one of the things that I've learned, you have to feel it. You can't just be read through it and not care. Just take a moment to actually mean what you're saying, and you will see everything change, which is really amazing. I'm curious, Joey.
Well, it'll help people who don't have interference energy affecting them. So not as dramatically as it will for those who have it. And think about it, when have we been in more turbulent times? When we have the whole world when has it been in more turmoil? And to me, it's like the chicken and the egg. Is the amazing abundance of interference energy in the world now causing it, or is all this turmoil causing it? It's hand in hand. The interference energy makes things worse. I think interference energy has been around since what I call interference energy is very specific energy. They've been around since the beginning of mankind, having been given free will to be negative and go against the good. And I think it's grown steadily through the eons. But until, I guess, again, the beginning of COVID, and also the political divides and the anger about all that's going on all around the world. And COVID was a part of that even. And so you got the anger, you got the fear, and now we're living in a world of chaos. And I truly believe that these, I'm a student of from many, many years ago, before I was even dowsing, I was a student of Edgar Casey, many, Walter Russell. Anyway, I was very interested in in the end of times predictions. And including the Bible, all of them say things are going to get much worse before they get much better, before we enter this new era of peace. And I think that really is coming. I think we're living in a very important time right now.
Well, we all feel it. I think that we're feeling this incredible instability. And I tell everyone, you know me, I'm a really happy-go-lucky most of the time, but I have had to work twice as hard at my own inner peace. I'm not going to lie. It's never been more difficult to maintain my own coherence, even since I published the book. I think it's gotten worse, but there are certain things that we can do to clear that, and to maintain kind of like emotional, energetic hygiene, so to speak. I would love to tell you one of the things that we did. I think multiple things, but I would love for you to touch on. You have taught me and talked about, okay, through our own thoughts, we create discordant energies in our own households, right? That we attract these energies through our people have a hard time understanding it. So I would love for you to address that just a little bit. And then secondly, we did in your home something called relaxitation, which has left such a profound impact on me. And I still do it when I do my Eamon circle, a little bit of a break in the middle of the day. But, you know, and tying this on in tying this as do the things on a daily or weekly basis to kind of like stay in a good space and maintain good energetic hygiene.
Well, in the maintenance instructions that come with the miracle blessing process, number one, I suggest do it at least once a week, but it's better just to do it every day. And another thing that I've been doing, not only every day, but multiple times a day, are what Jill and I call relaxations or meditations. And the way I learned to meditate, it was in 76, was basically by taking a power nap. You know, you just let go, you lie down, let go, and let God. And I began in the early years, I used to use nice flowing music. When like you'd get a massage, you hear when you get a massage or something like that, and something that's made to meditate to. But now I don't need it, and I didn't push my wife Jill, who again you're going to meet. You've already met, but I mean your watchers here, your followers. I didn't push her into any of this stuff, and so. When at a certain point that she just came alive and with onto the spiritual on her path, and it was spontaneous. And then she started doing the meditations or relaxations with me, and now we do it several times a day. And it just makes such a difference. So you combine just simple, taking 20 minutes to just lie down and just be. You keep doing that, you're going to get there.
Well, you taught me something that was very transformative, that if you want to really supercharge your relaxation or meditation, you pose a question or something that you're struggling with, something that you want to know, and then you completely let go and you just kind of relax.
Right. So you can use you can use these power naps, let's call it. Everybody's heard of those. I just call it relaxation because you get deeply relaxed, where you forget the world, forget the body, forget your life, and you're sort of like sleep, but you're not really asleep. But before I go into, I like to start with a blessing and bless myself, especially with, let's say, with the simple blessing process, which they're get access to, and then you add, there's an optional a place for an optional statement. Anything you're wanting to work on in your life, especially to help me improve the relationship with my children or my spouse or my boss or my employees, anything. And it just seems to really help. And it doesn't necessarily mean right away. And also, I've just noticed, you know how when you get angry about something, sometimes you just can't get it off your mind. You just, you want to forget about it, but it's just going through your mind, going through your mind. I just find if I take the moment to remind me to bless myself with the simple blessing process, not the miracle. All my blessing processes again have the simple blessing process at the core, and then I do different things with it. But you bless yourself with the simple blessing process, and maybe while you're at it, bless the person you're upset with or something like that. And next thing I know, I'm riding. Let's say I'm riding in the car when I do that. Next thing I know, I'm miles down the road. I hadn't even thought about it since the blessing. And things change with blessing. And
they really
really,
do. They really
yeah.
do. And I think that if there's one thing that I can recommend to everyone is that bless others even when you don't like them, especially the people that you don't like.
Yeah.
And I think what that happens, what I have found is that it's almost like it breaks that energetic fiery connection between the two parties. And it just kind of like lets me off the hook of carrying that load, so to speak.
You also mentioned blessing food. I want to add a little bit. Many religious, especially Christian religious people you'll see them in restaurants, they won't take a bite of food until they say a blessing but most of them are giving thanks. They're saying grace. Thank you for the food. Now, gratitude is important. God doesn't need gratitude. We need gratitude. But if you're just saying, thank you for this food and for these blessings in my life or something like that, and in other words, saying grace, you're not charging the food. You have to add, in order to charge the food with the life force energies, you have to add, please bless this food.
Bless this food.
I like to say, to nourish our bodies and nourish our souls is one of the blessings I like to use.
I absolutely love that. Bless this food in the hands that prepared it. It's just like such a beautiful way of doing that. Well, Joey, I'm curious, and we're going to keep talking about this a little bit, but you have been doing this work for now decades, and you've been doing it with a fantastic co-pilot, your wife, Jill. I'm wondering if we can maybe meet Jill and have her.
Hey, Jill.
She's right there.
Right.
Yeah, you know that. I'm right here always, always behind the scenes, right?
Hello. Well, you are just both of you. I love you so much. And I think when I'm buying books, my Walter Russell books, by the way, you have, I think it's important to mention, I've talked about Walter Russell on the podcast on my Instagram more than I can count. You're one of the rare places in the country where people can find some of the books that are no longer sold by Walter Russell. So you have a really, really amazing library on your website. So I'm going to make sure that we link that as well.
Okay.
I think it's powerful. So
he's been dead since 62, but so he hadn't been selling them for quite a while.
Right.
But there's an organization called the University of Science and Philosophy.
Correct, but his books and his work is amazing.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear a little bit more about, Jill, your involvement with the work and anything that we haven't touched upon that you're like, wait a minute, we should talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Well, Jasna, it goes back, Joey and I met when we were teenagers, and we just knew that we were going to be, that we were for each other. And so we married in 76. Well, we met in 72. We married in 76. And we have 3 beautiful children. And now we have 8 beautiful grandchildren together. But, early on, and I think Joey mentioned this, I was more into just being the mother, being at home with my children, which I do really value and appreciate the fact that I was able to do that. And also I was involved originally in a family business that Joey's father had inherited. He touched about the fact that he's been in the Holocaust. He was a Holocaust survivor and so on. as the years went by and we no longer were in that business, Joey and I realized that what we really wanted to do was something together that we could make a difference in this world. And it was really in our world too, in our immediate world and with our family. But then we saw that it was growing to something outside of that. And so when we made a decision and we both set our intention that this is something we're doing together.
We had no idea dowsing would be
We
what it
weren't
was.
sure what it was going to be.
But I was a passionate dowser by then.
Right. We just knew
For
that
many
it was
years.
going to be something that we would do together. And we had set some parameters in it, but we were very wide open. And so when Joey took the hobby of dowsing that he really enjoyed as a hobby and learning about it, but really coming to an understanding where he saw a real deep and valuable essence of it, then it just woke him up to, oh my gosh, this is the path that I feel drawn to be on. And I was there to say, whatever, I support it. I support it. So we together made our decisions, and now here we are. And so technically we didn't start the dowsing as a business until 1997. But from that time, it was something that we developed ourselves, and it just grew, and we learned and grew through it. And, we were raising our family and have a life, outside of it. It's all together, though. It's not like a separate thing, having our work and our family.
I couldn't do this work if it wasn't for her. I mean, she's the one that talks to our clients. She's the one that answers all their questions. She can douse, but she doesn't do the dowsing herself, but she can explain it to anybody who calls enough what I do. And this is my full-time work now, remote spiritual house clearings, but I'm teaching others to do it. So it's funny because I'll have a session with somebody. I'll spend the entire time helping them to understand what the interference energy is, how it affects us, helping them understand the human energy pattern, how it gets imprinted around the beds. And then they do the miracle blessing process at the end. And I hear from them maybe a few days later, oh, I want to thank you for making such a difference in my life, our lives. And we can all feel a difference, a palpable difference. And and then I remind them, you did it, not me.
That's what I love. You two taught me something. I remember years ago when we were talking about it, I'm like, well, Joey, then people will not need you if you give them all. Like then what's becomes of your work? And you said the whole point is get yourself out of your job, and that hit me. It's like, if you really truly want to be of service to humanity, your job is to get yourself out of your job. In fact, there's a counterintuitiveness of all of this. When you give, the more you give to bless others. I just did a Substack about this today. The more the universe, God, the divine blesses you. And there's always enough. There's like this source of, you'll always be taken care of. But so much of us hoard and hold on. And then ever since I met you, all you've done is give and support and love others. And what's interesting is that people still need your I need your guidance, and I need your support. And
I think you like it.
You guys are just so amazing.
Well,
It's reciprocal, though. We really have developed friendships with clients that we've never met them. We've never met them, but they trust and they believe and they help support. It's mutual, it's mutual. And so we feel very blessed and honored to be able to do what we do and do it together.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that multiplies the impact. Question for both of you. What do you hope and I would love for both of you to answer, what do you hope that you accomplish with the miracle blessing? Like what do you hope, where do you hope that it goes? Who does it touch? What impact you want it to have?
Well, when we came up with it, when we first talked to you about it, and I thought I would be ready much sooner than I was, we set a goal together, the three of us. You know, we want to reach 1 million people and just get them to, just not all at the same time, doesn't matter. Just whatever, just lie down, go through the miracle blessing process. And it's important that the lying down is important. You could, if you just sit there like you're sitting right there now and do the miracle blessing process, it won't remove interference energy if you had it from you or anybody around you, anywhere you're connected. Mm-hmm. Lying down does, but there's a reason it does that I can't really explain. It's all explained though, you know, on the miracle blessing process. You're pictorially anyway, and in words, but where we.
Well, I would say too, and we had a brief conversation.
Oh yeah, go back 1 million people. I'm sorry, Jill. We see if 1 million people do it, it will help. And let's say affected by interference energy, it will help many millions more, because when you bless I said earlier, when you successfully use the miracle blessing process to remove interference energy from yourself, it also removes from everybody in your family, everybody, anywhere you're imprinted, where other people have it, hotels, anywhere else. You could be helping hundreds or thousands of people, I think. I have no way of knowing that you have no idea that you're helping. They'll have no idea why they're feeling better, they're sleeping better, if they're having that weird, which is not real, is common, not real common. I'd say about 40% of my clients report some kind of paranormal activity. It ends after they do that, but then you got to keep it up, because the next time you stay somewhere else, next time you lie down somewhere else where others lie down, if there's interference energy, then it's going to affect you again.
I love what you gave us a tool for it. That's for sure. What about you, Jack?
I did want to add, though, it is about what we were talking about previous to the recording, but about taking action, you know, doing it, taking action that can save the planet, really. And then you as one person can make a difference. So that's my takeaway, is that we all have our light to shine, and that we, each one of us, can make a difference in this world that we so love and are so grateful to be here.
You know how powerful it is to hear that, and how very few people, like, we need to be reminded of that. And you say that over and over, because I think that both of you are love and light, pure love and light. And I really love. Oh, bless you. I love you for it. And I'm so thankful that you are in my life, that there's in a sea of so much wrong, there's so many good people who actually care, not just about themselves, but they actually care to make an impact, and they care about the others and the other suffering. And it just brings so much joy to my life. And I was watching a show recently, and it said, if you don't believe that, you know, few people, or like few people can make a big impact in the world, try sleeping in a tent with a bunch of mosquitoes, right? It's like we have so much, not only that we do this for ourselves, but when we clear our own energy, we then become love and light for others. And then I know that when I come home in a pissy mood, immediately, my children and my husband are in a pissy mood. Like, it really does work that way. So I think it's like being very responsible for my own energy is really important. Well, I'm curious now. People will want to know, we'll have, again, all of the links for the downloads and the miracle blessing, and we're going to have the graphics superimposed on some of the cutout videos, teasers that we're going to share on social media. And I will kind of share about the miracle blessing myself. But where can people find you? Where can people go to learn more about you or even work with you? Which I really recommend that every single person just calls you just to be empowered and learn the miracle blessing. They don't have to, but I really suggest that they do. So how can people find you?
Well, dowsers.com, DOWSERS.com. You'll have a link to it. They can call us. You'll put a link up for the telephone number. Email is joey@dowsers.com or jill@dowsers.com. And
I'll just calls as I can. We don't have any kind of what is it now? The big deal.
Yeah,
is that I'm real.
I'm real. No AI.
Yeah.
If you get voicemail, you just leave a message.
Voicemail, yeah.
You're gonna get a real loving human. There was I think that one of the things that I also want to mention, your website, your book, I can't stress enough the path to enlightenment, the dowsing as a path to enlightenment has been really, 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 it's been my spiritual primer. And I'm so glad that my teacher, Steve, gave me the book and recommended that I read it. And what a blessing that I know you, but also everyone listening to this, pick up the copy. It's really, really powerful. But on your website, you have a lot of videos and articles explaining all kinds of blessing, explaining the miracle blessing, explaining the paranormal activity. People are interested in that. So people can really learn and educate themselves about a variety of things in your work on your website, which is so comprehensive.
Yes.
Yeah, I try to share as much as I can.
We will be doing some web work currently, so
we are
still
in the process of improving it greatly.
Right, to improve it.
You asked before I had a session of what a transformative, before we got into a testimony. I got a written testimony after somebody worked with me that I'd like to read.
Yes, please.
We've had an incredible weekend and week following. Oh, hi, Joey. We've had an incredible weekend and week following our session. After our session, my daughter came downstairs and came over and gave me a big hug and said, "I'm so excited." I replied, "What are you excited about?" She said, "I don't know, just everything." She is very lovable and always wants hugs, but she was even more lovable and joyful. My son, who was complaining about everything, has not complained about anything and has been joyful and happy, smiling more sociable, less shy. My heart is so happy to see him happy. Regarding my issues with my brother and his wife, I had a lot of anger and resentment towards them, and I had a lot of good reasons to justify good reasons, she put in quotes, to justify my anger. I hated the tension but couldn't shake it off. After our session, all the anger disappeared. No anger. I'm so relieved. I just could not shake it off before our session. I'm confident we will not have any more issues moving forward because I feel such a relief. I'm not sure how else to explain it. Something just feels different, and I feel unconditional love. This is when the family changes, obviously, and they don't even know what anything has happened, and I love it when get help in sometimes remarkable ways who have no idea that's going on. I'm talking about just a few years old, or babies. And again, it was help the client understand how and why the miracle blessing process works and how and why it works so well. And then they lie down and do the blessing, and I confirm for them whether it worked. And what I do real quickly about when I do a remote session, I have a way, I use a blessing to create an energetic connection between my client's energy pattern and a bed in my home. And all the energies of their home and their family members separately. I'll put them on all separate, connect them to separate places. And then I connect their home with their address to my home. For all intents and purposes, then their home energetically is my home. And I can douse with these dowsing rods all the energies. I know where to look for them and what to look for. And I can tell immediately if they have interference energy and other situations, other energy. I can anyway, it's just how I do it. To me, it's not really remote because it's right here.
And it's so transformative. And I think that when we understand, for me, this is why I love quantum physics, is that, we can be great distances away, but that energy can be felt. And if we really understand how that works, and we also understand why, remote healing and any kind of remote spiritual work works, because it's actual science. And I think that I'm actually getting excited about the future. I think that the AI might really bring a little bit more insights into the quantum computer, like all of these different things that are so beyond our pay grade and that we have a hard time comprehending. But reading that, listening to that, the testimonial, like that's just one out of, I know many because I hear them. I am one powerful one. And I really cannot thank you enough for who you are, for your light and love in this world, and for being such stewards of goodness in this world. So I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to talk to me. And my mission is now our intention that we share this miracle blessing that is a gift. There's a gift to humanity with as many people because we want them to feel better.
Yes.
And we appreciate you so much for helping us spread the word about it.
Absolutely. We love you.
It's a blessing. Thank you so much. And folks, all of the things that we have talked about are going to be available in the show notes, in YouTube, on everywhere you watch this podcast. And whatever you do, make sure that your call to action is somehow go to dowsers.com and interact with the work of Jill and Joey, and your life will be forever changed. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you.